Welcome to Heart Riffing, a podcast by way of the heart. Here we explore what it means to reconnect with your essence and live from a place of personal freedom. If you're interested in learning more about our courses, mentoring and workshops, feel free to visit wayoftheheart.com.au. We're so glad you're here and we hope you enjoy the episode. Hi and welcome back to Heart Riffing, a podcast by way of the heart. We have now reached the third arc or the third episode in this arc that we're talking about. In the first episode, we took on hustle culture and just talked about how you don't need to become anything. There's no becoming, that you are enough as you are if you just reconnect to yourself. And then in the second episode, that was kind of a natural flow on, we talked about what actually happens and what opens up when you do connect to yourself. And once you do have access to that ground of being, that then you realize really, really quickly that you're also connected to everything else.
Part of the field.
Everything is interconnected. And that was a shorter episode. I have a feeling this one might be a little bit of a longer one, because that then is almost immediately met with the question of, what about, we're in the field. Is everyone in the field? Like, what about really challenging people and challenging personalities, and what place does that have? And this is a conversation that we've talked about a lot off camera, so it'd be interesting to bring this one into the pod as well. It's I think it's a contentious topic. It's also something that is difficult sometimes to put words around in a way that is honest and representative of way of the heart and the way that we sort of live and the way that we embody the things that we're talking about, but also in a way that is sensitive to real genuine suffering and things that happen in the world. So this is a big topic. I don't even know what question to start on. Maybe we can just start by outlining the flow-on effect from the what happens in
So we sort of said that we never really attacked hustle culture. What our perspective was if there is this constant outsourcing of self to get to another place in a desire to become, then that's going to become a problem. The desire to grow, set intention, have ice baths, do whatever you want to do. You do you. Like, it's fine. You want to get up at 5 o'clock and go for a 20K run, who cares, right? What I was challenging is that, if you want to be a member of whatever club, be a member of whatever club, referring to previous podcasts. But when that becomes an identity marker, that will be a problem, because that identity marker will be there and then it'll be there. It'll keep moving away from you, right? And the other thing that it does, in that external pursuit to get or become whatever you need to become, there's this ignoring of what you already are. Now, so we talk about coming back to heart, coming back to essence, coming back to grounded being, right? It's very, very familiar way of the heart kind of topics. The immediate pushback on that is, well, that's all well and good, but it's all very self-indulgent. It's all very self-focused, probably no more less than the striving to become something, just by the way. But let's just say it is, this. And by the way, if we're not doing this kind of self-improvement, growth life, move, hustle, if we're not doing that and we're just doing what you do, what do we all just kind of sit like yogis on the deck and talk to kookaburras, like what's the fruit of that, right? And I kind of referenced the fact that the fruit of that is not necessarily coming to a fixed belief or a doctrine or an idea about ultimate reality. But you come back into that and you realize that that's not a singularity. That's just not my heart. That my heart is actually connected to a bigger field, what I would call the field, what a lot of people call the field. And that, of which, Zeke, who just visited us, is part of the field, and that the bigger field exists. It's important, right? And that within that, a bunch of things start to happen when you're in the field, right? You start to feel connected to other people. You start to feel held. Start to feel connected to other people. You start to feel held. You start to feel there's an intimacy to it. You start to feel a sense of love for everything in the field, right? Some of the higher human virtues that we talk about exist in the field, and you can plug into those: bliss, peace, love, joy, forgiveness, compassion, grace, empathy.
Understanding, harmony.
Understanding, harmony. The Buddhist has 12 of them. The Bible, love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, mercy, long suffering. The Bible has a bunch of, calls them the fruits of the spirit. They're the fruits of the field per se, right? Now, then someone might say, well, that's all very beautiful, and it actually is all very beautiful, and it's very powerful, and it actually transcends so many things. Transcends nationhood, transcends political divide, transcends racial division, transcends species division, transcends any sense of separateness that takes you out of the field. It's like it's just going to undo that, right? And so people will say, well, wait a second. The field has got some very malevolent, ugly elements to it, and I don't want to be connected to that, right? Now, if we said that in really simple language, we'd just say, what about all those evil people? What about people who are doing heinous things? And if you're saying that I'm going to come back into my heart and feel lovingly connected, there's some people I do not want to ever be connected with again, because I just, and then, you put whatever expletives or you put whatever descriptors you want off the back of that, right? And when people say that, you can't turn around to them and go, oh, come on, just be nice.
Yeah.
Just forgive.
Yeah.
That was one of the great annoyances for me in Christianity, was it would say things like, love your enemy, do good to those who hurt you, turn the other cheek. And I just go, okay, great goal.
Yeah.
How the frick do you do that?
Yeah.
Because this person was really, really a problem.
Yeah.
And not just a little problem, a major problem. And there's some people are out there just going, I heard one lady the other day, she just goes, I do not forgive. And the person said, well, how does that work for you? And she goes, great. It works great for me. I do not forgive. That's not happening. And in a way you say, well, is that what's the impact of that? What's the impact of understanding that you're connected to your own heart, and that's connected to everything, and then there's selective parts of that you go, can't be connected to that, can't be connected to that, can't be identified with that, don't want that, not going to include that. So it becomes a conversation about inclusivity and who is included and who's not excluded and who's precluded, right?
And then we're back into the binary food fight, right? You can become part of our tribe provided that you do all of these things and that you don't ask these questions and that you don't,
I think so. And I think you could say that in a different way, right? Because it's sort of without getting kind of too philosophical about this, ecosystems aren't moral. They're just not. The universe is not essentially a moral construct. Meteors slam into planets and blow shit up, and there's nothing out there that just goes, ooh, that's a problem.
Should have done that. Yeah.
The sun burns with an intensity that if you stay at it in long enough, it will give you melanoma and that will kill you. It's not like the sun feels guilty about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's this element of the field which has its own physics. It has its own cause and effect. It has elements in it which they're not ethical. They're just there. You know what I mean? And every ecosystem has that. We talked the other day about Lily, my cat, is an apex predator. And, if we let her out on the deck too long, she finds frogs and torments them and feels no guilt whatsoever. I'm looking at this poor little frog that has just been in her mouth for 5 minutes, and I'm going, Lily, he's very, very sweet. And she's going, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, he's a toy.
Yeah.
He's not a toy. He's like a little amphibian. Get him out of your mouth, you know.
Yeah.
Rescue the frog and go and put him on a leaf and talk kindly to him. And the tragedy is the frog doesn't turn around and go, I love you, Greg. Can we meet here tomorrow on the leaf? You know, it's the freaking frog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lily's a cat. She doesn't come in and I go, Lily, I'm sending you to a psychologist because you've got some genuine destructive influences. And she just goes, oh, yeah, you're right. When I think about it, I feel really bad. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the seventh frog. I think I've got issues. Like, dude, you've got issues. Like, none of that is taking place in the field, right? But we enter into the field, and because we are conscious creatures with a high level of developed consciousness, connected to emotions, connected to thoughts, connected to needs, connected to, you know, everything, we enter the field and we feel all that stuff. And we do what's called anthropomorphizing, right? Is that we make the field a purely human thing, and it's not. Doesn't care about my judgments, doesn't care about my sensitivities, which actually doesn't mean that it's void of beautiful things. There's lots of beautiful things there, and there's lots of things that aren't beautiful there as well. That's life. That's the ecosystem, right? So, if I was trying to help you out, have you got another question? Or
I do.
What is it? Okay, what is it?
The question then is, how does somebody lean into that? You know, I think this is an interesting conversation. It's one that has come up over and over again throughout my life. Like back when if you're framing this question in a Christian lens, it often appears as, well, why does God let bad things happen to good people? Or when you frame this in a more deconstructed Ram Dass, Richard Rohr-esque way, you go, well, all things belong except for these things. Or how can you say that, you know, a serial killer belongs? Or how can you say that, you know, all of this stuff belongs? So, and that's always a very incredibly complex and nuanced question.
It's actually not. It's actually
no,
not at all. It belongs because it's here. It's here. It's a physical, it's a phenomenological reality. You know, are there serial killers in the world?
Yeah.
Then they're there. They're part of the system. They're part of the ecosystem. You know, now you can ask other sundry questions. What's the value of their contribution? Well, that's a different question altogether. Oh, well, why are they here? Well, that is a deep philosophical question about why bad shit exists, right? It's like, okay, that's a deeply ethical question where you can wrestle with that, but at a really base level, all of this stuff exists and it's here. Good, bad, right, wrong. It's all encapsulated in the field, right? It's all there. Realized people, unrealized people, awake people, unawake people, informed people, ignorant people, deeply compassionate, inclusive, loving people, horribly exclusive, tribal, toxic people. It's all in the field, right? And so you can then, so then when you are happy with that base reality and you realize as you connect to your own heart that you're actually connected to the field, the question becomes less about what's out there and why is it out there? And the question becomes, how do you engage the field?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you engage toxic people? How do you, what energy do you put into the field? It's not what is the nature of the field. It's like, well, how do you want to participate with the field?
Yeah.
Do you want to become an angry virus? Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Do you want to become the angry? Like for a while there, that's the way I engaged the field. In the latter part of deconstructing, my primitive faith, I was pissed off. I was pissed off at people. You can look at different people groups around us, and you can go, "Oh, they're angry.
Yeah,
they're engaging the field as if the field isn't giving them what they want. There's whole podcasts of disenfranchised white Anglo-Saxon males that are just going, I'm losing my power. You know, give it back to me.
Yeah.
I don't like this woke bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay. That's the way they're engaging the field.
Yeah.
And then there's any number of people positioning themselves in the field in a particular way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the way that people position themselves in the field is with no awareness
Got it.
that everything exists in the field.
Got it. What do they think?
They just think that my way is the right way, and it has to happen like this.
Yeah.
So they're prescribing to the field how they want the field to operate.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So then it's becoming a question of how do I engage with the field in a way that is also congruent and in alignment with
100%,
my essence.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And you can then say, but what if people's essence is completely toxic? And I would say that's never the case.
Mm-hmm.
I would say people don't begin from a heart perspective as toxic, broken. They may become that. And you say, well, didn't you just say no one becomes? They may allow that to the point where that becomes their primary expression,
Mm-hmm.
right? And our job with those people is to say, dude, you're living apart from your heart energy. You're living in your head. You're living in your construct. You're living in your anger. You're living in your bitterness. You're living in your fear.
Yeah.
Look at things like nationalism, tribalism, exclusivity. It's all driven by fear,
Yeah.
right? You're living and all you're putting into the field is fear. All you're putting in the field is anger,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hey, dude, that's actually not the fullness of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you're bringing. That's all you're expressing. And so we help people who've fallen into a toxic space. We help that by saying, come back.
Mm-hmm.
Come back to your heart, because your heart has so much more than that. And the field has so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a singular expression, right? It's always the case, you know, you think about plurality. Plurality is inclusivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's plurality is one, then there's two, that's plural, right?
Yeah.
Me, us, you know, we're moving from the singular to the plural. So plurality just is the usness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That shift so often gets corrupted to me, them,
Yeah.
right? It's they're not us, they're not one with us,
Mm-hmm.
they're not of us, with us. They're against us,
Yeah.
not of us,
Yeah.
separate from us.
Mm-hmm.
So plurality, when it breaks down, you go, yeah, I'm all for inclusivity, except the field won't let you do the except.
Yeah.
The field, like any healthy ecosystem, the snake or the lizard goes to the controller of the field and goes, look, this kookaburra is pretty toxic. You know, like we're just crawling through the bush, and all of a sudden there's Carl the kookaburra. And Carl's, you know, I'm just going for a walk with my girlfriend, and we're just sliding along, and then Carl comes down and pecks her head off. And look, I don't have a tail anymore because he took my tail.
Your name is Carl, and at some point you're listening to us.
Text it.
Get into contact with us.
Come on, talk to us.
We've got some free stuff.
Yeah, and if your name is Edna, same. You know, and and the field just goes, dude, I can't eradicate the kookaburras.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know, or the gum trees go, oh, I was going so good. I hit 27 meters, and then I got mistletoe, and it ate the end of all my branches, and now 30% of me is fully dead. And, you know, what am I going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get rid of the mistletoe?
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's in charge of the field goes, no. The mistletoe's part of it. And then the tree goes, oh, that's just rubbish. And my next door neighbour, he's got brachyfungus, and he's not well at all. He's got sap all down his trunk, and it's not looking good for him. You go like, yeah, you know, well, what kind of freaking field is this? Now, you transpose that conversation onto humans.
Yeah.
I was with my wife, and then she freaking got a diagnosis of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this field is bullshit. Now, humans say that sort of stuff. Life is cruel. Life is hard. ecosystems are ecosystems, and in the ecosystem is everything. And inclusivity, if it's awake,
Yes.
if there is a plurality that wants to keep it as them and other over there, but if it's genuinely informed plurality, it looks at it and goes, oh wow, that's all there, isn't it?
Yes. And this doesn't mean that you experience something and are impervious to suffering.
No.
It doesn't mean that you know, someone gets that diagnosis and goes, that's the feel. Like, you still, you can have that awareness that everything belongs in the field and still experience the full gamut of
you do both.
What it is to be a human, right?
I think you're really hunting around the right stuff. You actually do both.
Mm-hmm.
If you really have found some kind of deep inner connection to yourself, you'll go, oh my gosh. You feel the tragedy. You don't just feel all the beautiful parts of the field. You allow yourself to feel grief.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we say this all the time in Way of the Heart. You allow yourself to fully experience the disappointment of betrayal if someone's betrayed you, if that marriage has fallen apart, if that partner's cheated on you. You don't just sit there and go, that's all part of the field. I guess it is what it is. No, you enter into the fullness of the field and you go, God, that hurts.
Yeah.
That is devastating for me. That is killing me inwardly.
So it's
not breaking my heart. There's no input. There's no passivity in it.
There's no disconnection. There's actually radical connection.
Radical connection, which is what I first said. When you come back into yourself, you feel deeply connected, not just to you, but to everything. Now, if you're going to be connected to everything, you're not just going to feel and experience the happy vibes. You're going to experience the whole thing. Just by the way, that's what it means to live. That's what it means to inhabit a life in this space. Right? You don't have to manufacture goals to get where you need to go. Just come back and experience the whole lot. It's all here. It's all rich. It's all diverse. It's all amazingly here. But it's not sanitized. It's not scripted.
I find this a really difficult one. I mean, if you've been listening to us for a while, you'll know that the role that I typically take on is to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I find this a really difficult one to play devil's advocate for, because in my own life, I tend to try really hard to not be inclusive, but I try to maintain an idea of the field. But I have a lot of conversations with people who go, well, I can't just, I can't get on board with that worldview or that way of, looking at things.
Well,
so I'm almost grasping for a question to ask here.
Well, it's like because there's a subtle perception in that, right? There's a subtle moment in that where people are thinking, so are you saying to me, that I have to invite Carl the kookaburra over to our lizard party?
Okay.
No.
Yes.
He'll eat everyone there. Don't invite him to the party.
God damn it, Carl.
Don't invite Carl to the party. He'll eat the whole party. Right? That's not a good idea. Right?
Yeah.
Inclusivity is not like I throw my arms open. It is a love towards Carl the kookaburra as Carl the kookaburra. I was like, I think you're probably pretty bent out of shape, Carl. I need to have some appropriate boundaries with you. I don't really want to give you any access. I'm not really going to listen to anything that you say. Your beak is way too sharp, crazy boy. Stop sharpening it. Stop doing all this sort of head shaking shit. You just stay over there because that's necessary for you to stay over there.
Can we talk more about that? Because I think that's that point that you made about boundaries and access. I think that's a really key part of this conversation.
Well, the people that I forgave in the original podcast, the people that I forgave, I never saw them again. They would never know that I forgave them. I've never had any contact with them again, and I never want to. I'm completely fine with that. But what that was an evacuation that was an awareness that I am still connected to them whether I like it or not, right? Because we're all in the same field, right? And yet the posture that I'm going to have to them is not going to be one of continually allowing their presence in the field to foster and to percolate in me venom and anger and hatred, because I don't want to put that into the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want their presence to be shaping me in a way that makes me malformed. Oh, he's just that big angry guy. But for a long time, I was just that big angry guy. And people would go, he's very reactive. And it's like, I just go, that's actually, if you really, really knew me, I'm actually not angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an angry guy.
No.
The fact that I'm 6'4" and look like Shrek, who's had a bad day, and I have resting bitch face, so I hardly ever smile. It's like I smile occasionally. Most of the time, I just look hostile. It's a big. He's very angry. No, I'm just sitting on the seat waiting for Ange to come out of the shop. I'm probably not going to hit you.
No, you're sitting there with your resting bitch face, thinking about how can I contribute, lovingly and authentically to the field.
Yeah.
People are walking
and the
past
field's
going, that's scary.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
Look at that grizzly bear sitting there. It's a bald grizzly bear. It's a cross between a bald eagle and a grizzly bear. This the apex predator kill you. Yeah, no, I get it. But that's actually not who I am, right? And so I don't want people out there shaping what I put into the field. And subtly, if you come into the field and you see the diversity and the lack of, the seeming lack of regulation, there is a regulation, it's called Tao or Way. But you see all of that and you go, I can't control that. I can't control that. That's a threat. That's a threat. They've hurt me. You can have boundaries. You can have appropriate ways that you engage that. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to become so super vigilant that all you're doing in the field is developing defensive postures to everything. Like, that's not a great way to live either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, arguably, if you're doing that, you're probably not genuinely in the field either. You're probably, if you're at the point where you're looking for, now what can I go against, or where do I need to put in a boundary, or where do I need to assert myself here, I would argue that you're probably not in a space where you're being aware of that deep inherent connection that you have with everyone.
I agree. And I think the value of a comment like transcend and include was never just to sort of say, just go to a higher level, just wait, just become more there, become more woo-woo, and forget any boundaries or any issues. No, transcend and include just goes, I know what's over there. I know how you roll.
Yeah.
I'm going to be cautious and careful around you. I'm not going to war with you, and I'm not allowing your malignancy or your shame or your wound to shape me. But I don't have to try and control you. Now people would say, well, what about people who are entering into the world doing heinous things? And as much as you want to sort of as much as you want to have a position that shapes the world around you, the truth of the matter is, as an individual, you don't. I don't shape geopolitical stuff. I don't have influence at that level, right? And then you find that if you are the Prime Minister of Australia, it doesn't really matter what his personal opinion is. It actually doesn't, because he now has to act according to policy. Politics is about policy. It's not about it can be about personal opinion until it becomes policy, and then the person in charge has to do the policy, right? So this was always the case. People said, why don't you change the church structure when you're part of it? And I go, because when I became a leader in the structure, I was constrained by the leadership mandate. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes the more authority you get, the more tied to a position you become.
Yes. And
so there's still no autonomy there. My whole point in this is that you say to a young person, what do you want to do? I really want to bring change. Just go, okay.
Yeah.
Then how about the first change you make is stop worrying about all the shit out there. Just come home to self first.
And I think that in doing that actually does allow for shift in your world, because that that changes the way that you engage with the field. This kind of goes to a conversation that we were having with somebody yesterday where they were saying, this is the state of the world is, it's worse than it's ever been before. And I don't know, the pushback that I had to that person is that we have been having these same conversations about it's so terrible since humanity began. Like, as long as we've been, rolling around this planet, we've always been having conversations about how dire it is. We've always been having conversations about, people in power. We've always been having conversations about, I feel so disempowered, what can I do? But I think that if you do kind of zoom out and you look at humanity as a macro, there is a forward moving trend that, like, when something terrible happens or you are in that place of disempowerment, sure, you might not be able to change the world, but you can take that and then, I don't know, let that alter the way that you engage with the world around you and the people around you and the conversations that you have. And then that does snowball and moves towards
change. That's a really good point. It's a really good point. It's a point that a mate of mine who has headed up two globally renowned aid agencies, one in Australia and one in America, and he ran them for quite some time. And over the last 30 years has literally been to every major human tragedy, whether it's the tsunami, whether it's wars in North Africa, whether it's famines, whether it's Ukraine. He's literally been to all of them, like literally as many, he's just been to the worst stuff going down on the planet. And he says one of the biggest shifts for him was the temptation is to think that when something really, really, really bad is going down, that it's just a complete reflection of human malignancy and the worst of humanity, and that humanity is just catastrophically broken. He says the truth of the matter is you go to the worst situations and he goes, you know what you find there? You find the best of humanity. You find profound love. You find profound generosity. You find profound forgiveness. You find levels of compassion for one another. You find people, moving heaven and earth to try and get aid to people. You find incredible gratitude. You find incredible like he goes, you literally find the best of humans in those situations. And so it's not accurate to kind of just philosophically say the field is dangerous and there's lots of very bad people out there and you can't include them. It's just not that simple. The field is complex. The field, like all ecosystems, is deeply and profoundly complex. It has malignant, dangerous things in it. It also has the best of things in it. It just can't be an either or. We can't get into that. And here's the danger, right? The danger is most of the time people who sit on the sides and make judgments about the nature of the field and judgments about others, they're coming from some kind of bias. They're coming from outside. You know what I mean? You enter in and you find out that sometimes people have got themselves in horrible situations as a trauma response. Certainly, that would be, you go, well, in the field there's addicts and there's, addiction's a trauma response. Like someone who's addicted, when they take the drug, they experience love, bliss, they experience incredible peace. What they're actually addicted to is those incredibly positive experiences. The vehicle of their addiction is killing them because they can't source those feelings outside of something that's deeply unresourceful. Actually, the intent behind the addict is actually to experience the best. The addiction is being driven by a desire for something actually quite beautiful. So you enter into that, you start to work with addicts and you just go, oh, this isn't a bad person. That category of bad, depraved, yes, we're all capable of doing that, right? But this person has got here through a whole series of circumstances, you know what I mean? And the external kind of judgment on them, in a war against this, it's like, or to punish that person it's missing the mark, right? It's missing the point. Standing outside as an external observer and casting aspersions about it, well, okay, you can do that if you want. But when you're connected to it, there's less inclination to do that, you know. That was my frustration again with institutional religion. Everyone could say, why were you part of institutional religion? Look how bigoted, look how narrow, look how exclusive they are. No, they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
They're just people who've been giving a framing narrative that's a very restrictive framing narrative. They're just people who've been told, if you don't believe this literally, you don't belong. And so they downloaded it literally. You know, that just needs to be that, you know, there's aspects of that need to be unplugged, that people need to be affirmed, right? So I think that's the perspective. You connect, you come back, you connect to the field, you have a compassion for it, you enter into it with a sense of connectivity. You're not just standing outside of it as someone going, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that.
Yeah.
Like that's where it all becomes ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's access to that is a natural sort of byproduct of that connection anyway. So you can't really stand outside of it.
Yeah, and it's not that you don't have an opinion or you don't have a position, but you just go, yeah. I think what influences is not an opinion or not an attitude or not a belief. What the posture you take and the energy that you feed out, that shifts. And it might not shift global impact, but it'll shift your world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you ever walked in and met someone, and the second you met them, you just went, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, totally.
And you'll say things like, "This is what you'll say." You'll go, and this is because you've come into someone who's really putting positive, powerful stuff into the field. You go, "I feel like I've known you forever."
Yeah.
You know, I feel really connected to you.
Mm.
And you might not even say it out loud, but you're with those people and you go, "Oh wow," there's like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you walk away and you go, that was the most ordinary conversation, but they but they are a special person.
Yeah.
Right? Now that energy is life-changing energy. You know, you only need that. You only need to meet people like that occasionally. They'll leave a lasting impact upon your life.
Absolutely. So I guess like, not that I'm searching for an action point, but to kind of cover off one more caveat, when you're living your life, when you're going about your day, you come across those beautiful people, but you also come across people who you really don't gel with. And I think that stirs up some type of reactivity. It's inevitable that it stirs up some type of reactivity. So I guess, how do you hold all of this but still?
Well, I just think you just don't allow. You assume this is what I would say, right? You assume your own posture, and because you spin around your own axis, which sounds individualistic, but the best thing that enables you to go into social situations is just to go in there and you're maintaining your own space. You're maintaining your own momentum. You're maintaining your own energetic, position, right? And you're just entering in at that level. You're not entering in a way that goes, oh, I better really resonate with this person, or this person better not do that. You're not entering in with that kind of hypervigilance or that super sensitivity. You just enter in. Someone doesn't like you, so someone says something mean to you, someone does something malicious or vindictive, you go, okay, I'm not going to get thrown off by that. I don't need to reciprocate. I don't need to be triggered by that. I don't need to engage that. We see that all the time. We put our stuff out on socials and then someone just flicks back something quite malignant and broken and you go, well, I'm going to tell him. It's like, why? Actually. Why?
Yeah.
My posture is like, if you need to write that sort of stuff, just DM me the stuff that you're creating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my stuff's so shit. Enlighten me. Give me the good shit.
Yeah.
I mean, your critique is really, critique is wonderful, but, is that all we've got, And so I don't allow them to shift my posture. I don't enter into that because there's no point entering into that, and it's the same when I walk down the street or when I go to a function or when I meet people. There are some really, really, really beautiful people out there, and there's some really, really not beautiful people out there. But that doesn't have to shift my posture. I don't have to allow that to shift my posture. And I can still feel deeply connected to the field. I can even still feel deeply connected to, with awareness to people who are not like me and who are different to me and even adverse or hostile to me, and go, okay, I think what you're doing is crazy. I think what you're doing is crazy. I think there's some issues there that you've really got to sort out, but you belong. You belong not because I value what you're doing, not because I affirm what you're doing, not because I agree with what you're doing. You belong because you're here. And to be honest with you, we probably need to find a better way to roll together, or we won't be rolling together at all. I'm going to go over here, you go over there.
Yep.
And I'm going to put some healthy distance between me and you. That's not a denial of the field. That's just sensibly navigating the field. Now, the person who's in hustle culture, going back 3 episodes, the person in hustle culture is almost locked into this singular journey where they're not even aware of the field.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're just off in some, it's like they've taken a drug and they're just off on they're off on their own trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. You know, I don't know. That's the 3-pronged arc. Of yes, you can. Observing when the goal becomes the lifestyle. It's no longer just intention to reach a positive goal. It's become my lifestyle. It's like the metric has become the validator of significance. No. The metric of becoming. And the becoming, which is constantly moving away, back to, no, I am. I've already become. I turned up fully complete. Essence is complete. Okay, what's the value of that? The value is that it connects you to an amazing field where you feel deeply and profoundly part of it. As well, what about being deeply connected to people in the field that are completely toxic and obnoxious and violent and dangerous and do very, very bad shit? It's like, yeah, they're in the field. You have to navigate them. You can't say that they're not there. But what you need to do to manage those people is assume your own posture and not allow anything to necessarily shift that posture. And there's enough good stuff in the field, even in the worst moments, to allow you to participate in a meaningful way. That's the arc of the last 3 episodes.
Beautifully summarized.
Yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed that little series that we had. As always, let us know if you want to hear more of that type of stuff, or let us know your thoughts, but only if they're nice. And no, whatever. And you won't shift our posture.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll catch you in the next episode.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Heart Riffing. If today's conversation resonated, you can find more of our work, including courses, mentoring, and workshops, at www.wayoftheheart.com.au or on our Instagram, Way of the Heart Official. We'd love to hear your thoughts, reflections, or questions, so please always feel free to message or comment. We look forward to seeing you next time.